And for Stanford, their head coach, Andrew Fuller. And our officials, our head official is Harry Walker, and our down official is Marissa Thomas. Both very experienced here on the beach scene. The crowd is beginning to gather around for our gold medal matchup.
She's an AVCA first team All-American in 2021. An AVCA second team All-American in 2022. From Huntington Beach, California, Zolani Hodel.
And number 32, Zolani Hodel for Stanford.
From Fayetteville, Arkansas, number 22, Brooke Rockwell.
And her partner, Brooke Rockwell, wearing the number 22. This team
meet our other pair.
Is partnering up for the first time this season. This is only their second event together.
She's an all-CCSA freshman in 2022 from Malvern, Texas, number 8, Haley Hamlet.
And that's number 8, Haley Hamlet. TCU will be wearing the white.
The 2022 Under-20 European World Champion from Kronchuk, Ukraine, Lena Kimmel.
And her partner, number 27, Lena Kimmel. It is the AVCA Collegiate Beach National Championships, and it's going to get kicked off here in just a moment.
Rocket City. Back to serve first for Stanford, number 22, Brooke Rockwell.
And it starts us off with an ace. Here is Stanford.
Point Stanford.
And that is number 22, Brooke Rockwell, 5'9" freshman from Fayetteville, Arkansas. Going after Lena Kimmel out of the middle. And it's Zolani with the returned onto. Nicely dug. Rockwell. And it's Hamlet. Back to Rockwell. Another attempt. Off the block, recovered. Big step close, and that is a heavy hammer for Zolani Hodel. And I now have Beth Van Fleet joining me alongside here for commentary, giving you all the insight from the coach's perspective, head coach at Georgia State University. Rockwell working Camille's sideline. Big step close. And that touches that sideline.
We definitely see Stanford targeting Camille, seeing what her range is going to be on serve receive, starting off on her. They're going to move her around on serve receive.
Absolutely. We saw that in the semifinal matchup as well from UCLA. She handled the pressure where Hamlet, a lefty, going after Rockwell. Nicely recovered. Little cutting, what a well-executed shot.
It's great being this close to the court. You can hear all the communication and all the conversations that are happening in each of these rallies. These pairs have been working really hard for this moment, and they're going to work to execute each of their game plans.
Zolani sets up Rockwell for a big crush out of the middle.
I'm looking at your notes here, Megan, and I think it's really interesting that we have a senior, a junior, a sophomore, and a freshman on this court. I think that speaks volumes for the depth of this game and how teams are preparing their pairs to be here to compete at this level.
Exactly, and we're going to be seeing these a lot in the future of NCAA beach volleyball.
Absolutely. We will be seeing everybody back on the beach here starting in February. But for now, we get to watch some very high-level competitive beach volleyball. in Huntsville.
Lena Kimmel.
And is all tied up at 3 apiece. And that is a weapon
Yes.
up there at the net.
Yeah, it's an interesting choice to serve Zolani. I think it's important to test her every now and then and see what their connection is with Brooke's setting. But I think we'll probably see Brooke getting most of the serve receive balls from TCU.
And Stanford takes the lead at 4-3 on our first side switch. TCU coming in as the number 1 seed, holding it all through the competition. They went 3-0 in pool play, and this is their 8th match of the tournament. Nice dig by Rockwell, just out of bounds for her. Stanford came in at the 14, again going straight through pool play and haven't lost a match thus far.
That is what's so exciting about this tournament is showing up. There are so many pairs here. We've got 64 pairs that are ready to compete for this one match that these 2 pairs have made it to.
Zolani, another attempt, a little spatched contact, but worked a treat.
Yeah, Zolani does such a great job of selling power every time. You can see her little wrist away action as she drops the cut shot when she sees the defender in the cross.
Hodel back to serve. And what pressure there, keeping it on Camille, this time on the inside.
Yep, they're really trying to find the seams on serve receive, trying to move Camille around, see where they're going to find any kind of weaknesses that they'll be able to exploit throughout the game. I don't think Camille's going to have many weaknesses, though.
32, Zolani Hodel, a 6'1" senior from Huntington Beach, California. And it's the over on 2 from Camille, relieving pressure.
It's interesting when you've been getting served all the balls, and then all of a sudden your partner gets served. You still feel sometimes like you have to be the person to attack. Here, obviously, Camille has the vision, sees that that spot is open.
Asking for the tempo set is Rockwell. Gee, she skied on that contact.
She truly did. She got up there and sold power and really opened up that line, high line shot for herself.
Big reach just over the block. Rockwell back to serve. Pressure has been on Camille. Down the line, just out of bounds.
Yep, they have been serving her back and forth from the seam to the sideline, trying to figure out where they can get her out of system and set up some of the defenses that they want to be running.
Number 8, Haley Hamlet, a 5'11" junior from Boulevard, Texas. Rips a jump top spin off the net. Well picked up by Brooke Rockwell. And she returns a short pokey over down the sideline. That's very hard to pick up.
It's very hard. Yes, very hard to pick up. And I think what's also extremely impressive is the location of the set that Zolani continues to give Brooke. So Brooke can count on that ball being where she's asking for it, whether it's tempo or a little bit higher. She predicts that it's going to be there, and she's able to see the defense.
And Zolani Hodel has represented USA on the age group international tour.
She has. It's been so much fun to watch her career really take off these last couple of years. She's played all over the world, I think, at this point.
Yeah.
She's still in college.
And on the AVP.
Yes.
A little bit too much power on that serve. She is going into the wind, but it is gusting here in Raleigh at the John Hunt Beach Sports Complex. Mill, back to serve, going after Zolani. She rips it away cross body.
As we watch that replay, she does a little slide footwork. I don't know how many reps she has taken on an indoor court, but that was really beautiful work, footwork coming into the inside and taking off one, going back to the line. It's interesting, too, with having 2 run-up blockers in this finals match. This has been a very long tournament, with both of these pairs probably playing 3 matches each of the previous 2 days to get here. So there's definitely an element of fatigue that they're working against.
Oh, wow, what a get by Zolani. You really thought it was down. She played it about an inch off the sand. Incredible. And that's the differential here with these ladies in the finals matchup. They're making those type of plays.
Absolutely. The anticipation. They have played this game for so long. They can anticipate so many plays.
Rockwell, a little tight pass, the on-two, recovered option for Rockwell.
You can see how Zolani intentionally lifts that ball to create that option opportunity for Brooke.
Before every point.
Conversation with our official.
It distracted me. And my partner. Is it allowed to scream?
Once again, we want to thank the City of Huntsville, the Huntsville Sports Commission, and Rally Volleyball for helping make the 2023 AVCA Collegiate Beach Championships possible.
And it's Zolani Hodel back to serve that little German-style jump float. What a system play, nicely handled by TCU.
Great swing and way to adapt to this set that was a little bit out of system and still finding a way to create a point scoring opportunity.
27, Lena Kamel, 6-foot sophomore for Kremenchuk, Ukraine. Massive block by her, and it's no surprise because she is the EU U20 champion, playing for her national team and federation out of Ukraine. Spends the summers back there, is here in the United States during the collegiate season. Working Zolani Hodel down the sideline. A little bit of a slide approach again into the inside.
Yeah, Zolani does a really nice job with some of those out-of-system plays of staying behind the ball and really seeing the court. And lots of times it's just a matter of finding which quadrant is going to be open, and she does a phenomenal job of getting the ball to that space.
And as we head to our first technical timeout, it'll be 11-10. Stanford taking a 1-point lead here. Beth, talk to me a little bit about being a coach in the box. So in the collegiate level, we have it, coaches in the box, AVP, we have it. But on the World Tour, we do not.
Yeah. So I think it's great having the ability to help guide some of the learning opportunities for these athletes. So being in the box, it really depends on the pair that you're working with and the individual personalities, and people always want different information. So you'll have some pairs that only want to know the defenses that the other team is running, so they know how to side out. You'll work with some pairs that want to know what defenses they should be running to stop the other team from siding out. And then sometimes you'll have kids that want a lot of data. Sometimes you'll have athletes who want a lot of technical information. So it's really neat watching these coaches work with their pairs to understand how to best serve them in these moments. And honestly, when we get into games, when we're on the court, our job as coaches is to serve these athletes. They're the ones playing the game, and they're the ones that are ultimately making the decisions and problem solving, and we're just offering a suggestion from a different perspective.
Such great insight for those coaches who only coach from the stands. You know, you can't say anything. So it is, Evan Silverstein yesterday said, it's a great educational element to really prepare these athletes as they depart into the pro level, to become more autonomous, but offer that insight.
Yes. Yeah. And I think letting them struggle and letting them try to problem solve for, 5, 6, 7 points when they are stuck, I think is really helpful for their ownership within the game.
Absolutely. And we're back in action here with Stanford serving TCU. It'll be Rockwell on the chase.
Lena Kimmel. We're tied at 11.
Haley Hamlet going after Hodel. Out of the middle, hard to defend, and she puts it away.
What a powerful hit. I don't know if we've talked about this yet, but the college space has kind of moved to the zones for attacking on the net. We use a 1 through 5 for the most part, with the 1 being the space by the antenna for the left side attacker, and the 5 being the space by the antenna for the right side attacker, and a 3 is directly in the middle.
Hodel to Camille's sideline, running the back set, using the whole court and getting that spread. So she's passing in lane 1, attacking in lane 5. That means Zolani, who is serving, has to run to the net and
Yes, it's absolutely an efficient and effective strategy to use when you've got to run up blocker, identifying that she's running up and then making her chase you. And that's kind of where it comes back to that anticipation as well.
Mill after Rockwell. High line shot falls for her. Again, both of these partnerships, this is only their second tournament together.
Yeah,
and they're in the finals.
Yeah, and playing this event for 3 days, I think is pretty equivalent to like 3 weeks of season. So they've packed it in.
Nice pass by Hamlet. She kicks outside because she is a lefty, dropping it on the sharp angle.
Yeah, and we are going to start seeing a little bit more of her. You see that she comes in at that hard cross and is able to see that they've run a 2 defense where the blocker is trying to take the cross, and all she knew she had to do was get around Zolani at that point.
Hamlet, Rockwell on the pass, the on-2, not successful this time from Hodel.
I think one of the most enjoyable things of watching Hodel compete is she does it with her whole heart and her whole effort every time she takes a step, every time she takes a swing. And she's fearless in that capacity.
Rockwell this time running out of the middle, drifts into lane 4, so I think anticipated to lane 3, drifted a little bit.
Switch,
yeah, and just a little bit of a miscue. It looks too like Zolani's trying to keep Brooke off the net just a bit to see if they can create that pull situation with the blocker and maybe attack the blocker as she's retreating from the net.
Again, also another strategy to fatigue the blocker.
Yes, yeah. The blocker is running up. The last thing the blocker wants to do is turn around and run back. And sometimes that's one of the best strategies to run.
Back to serve for TCU.
It is currently a beautiful sunny 66 degrees, feeling a little bit warmer on the sand. Winds coming in out of the north at 6 miles per hour, gusting just a little bit. More favorable side for Stanford right now.
There we go. Yeah, a wonderful weather report there. So right now we see a lot of different defensive systems being used. Both Stanford and TCU have been running some different 2s, some different cross blocks, which really puts a lot of emphasis on the attacker's vision and listening to that setter's call.
Hodel goes deep, a bit too long, and will be point for the Horned Frogs. And they take the lead by 2, 16-14. Lena Camille. Rockwell out of the middle. Recycled off the block. A little short shot out of bounds. I think Zolani was facing a little bit too wide to make that shot happen.
Yeah, it looks like the official was calling it a double.
I think there was a conversation as it wasn't a good set, but it was a one-handed hit. It still went out of bounds, so the call still stands.
Just a little bit of confusion, but looks like we cleared it up and we are moving forward with this game.
Big step close there, but it is a monster block from Lena Camille.
She's really doing a great job of getting underneath the attacker's vision, like her line of vision. She's ducking under the net a bit and then popping up into the space that she's supposed to be covering with the block.
18-14 here in our championship match.
And timeout called by Stanford. So if you're in the box and you're Stanford right now, you called a timeout. What type of conversation do you think is happening?
Most likely they're talking about a side-out strategy, trying to figure out maybe where we want to pass this ball, what kind of zone or what kind of alley we want to come out of. And so how can they set up an offensive play that's going to attack the defense that TCU has been running? We've seen a lot of 1s and 2s coming out of TCU, and so I think they'll probably, coming out for Stanford, they might try to run it a little bit out of the middle because that's one of the best ways to disrupt a defensive system.
And we talk a lot about disruption and causing hesitation.
Yes.
And we're seeing that in the blocking. And you talked about that blocker hovering a little bit low out of that peripheral view of the attacker. What does that do for the defense and for the attacker?
Yeah, when the blocker can get under the vision of the attacker, now there's a lot of hesitancy in that attacker's mind. And so sometimes she'll take a big swing and hope that she gets lucky. Sometimes she's going to slow down her arm and try to see that blocker, and then that will result in a shot. And so when blockers are able to effectively hide and, like, we'll say like hide and seek, when they're able to effectively do that, it creates so much hesitation in that attacker's mind.
And there you have it from Beth Van Fleet, the coach's insight. I gotta love it because we have coaching in the box here on the Collegiate Beach National Championships, and we are back in action. It is 18-14, and TCU is back to serve. They lead by 4. Zolani out of the middle as you projected.
There you go.
I think you were in the box.
I'm trying to channel my Andrew Fuller.
And it's fantastic. We've had 64 pairs, 40 universities, which means there's pretty much 40 plus coaches and the men's side. So we're looking at over 60 beach volleyball coaches in one place.
Yeah, it's incredible. And it's just the level of play, the level of intention on every single court, every single match we've seen this weekend has just been outstanding.
And that's a rip from Hamlet. I called her the Hamlet Hammer earlier.
I think that can stick. She does such a phenomenal job of seeing the block and really taking big swings around it.
And it has been impressive. So this is the second annual event. Last year, we were new, we're figuring out. This year, there's been some power pools, some really intense matchups all through the competition. It's not an easy tournament. Nice dig by Zolani Hodel, and she puts it away on the angle.
And that was an interesting defense. I'm interested to see if in the replay, Brooke ends up at the net and Zolani retreats to play defense. And we've seen Zolani at the net for most of this game so far. So it's neat to see the blocker drop back and make a clutch dig that's going to transition to a point.
And sometimes we see that in the middle of a matchup because they get fatigued.
Yep.
So can you be conservative for 2 or 3 points? They have a nice 4-point spread, 3-point spread now. Can they be, conservative? Because you might be playing three sets.
Yeah.
And this is your 8th match, back-to-back in 3 days.
Yeah, I think it's fun to see the focus and how they just decide to disregard how their bodies are probably feeling.
Nice shot there by Lena Camille. Rockwell on the chase, maybe taking a knee too early.
It gets really challenging for the defenders at this point because Camille has really not shown many tendencies. And so you have to sit there as a defender and read the power, be ready to run for the shot.
And we had Jaden Whitmarsh on, one of the best defenders out here. She was giving insight on what to read, what to look for yesterday. And she said it's so hard at this level because you really have to hold in that pocket before you chase down any other shot. Nice dig there by Rockwell. And she rips it. She has such a high reach on the ball, right?
She really does, and she does a phenomenal job of staying behind the ball, right? So oftentimes when you see these really big jumpers, they tend to kind of broad jump a bit and get under and lose vision, and every time she goes up, she's going straight up and keeping that ball in front of her, which creates all sorts of vision.
Possible set point here. Hamlet working the line, but it's Rockwell. Opportunity.
There you go. We had a little gust of wind that pushed that set just a little bit too tight.
And set 1 goes to TCU, 21-17. And there you have it. So TCU coming out of the gate, Stanford a little bit slow, but huge plays. I almost couldn't tell the difference. So I think both prepared well. What do you think's the difference in a matchup like this?
At this point, so much of it is going to be the IQ piece and which team can go back into